Hi, it's T with TeaQuilts, and I'm here today to do maintenance on my Longarm machine. I do this on a monthly basis where I'll make sure that everything is clean. I am going to go through the oiling process, but I actually oil on a more frequent basis than once a month, but I do this deep, what I call a deep cleaning for my Longarm system once a month. So some of the things that I'm going to be using, I will just pick them up and show you. I have a duster. I also have one of those microfiber towels. Have brush to clean the machine out. Tweezers just in case. I'll hardly ever have to use the tweezers. And I have oil. I have a piece of batting. And then I also have a screwdriver. So the first thing that I'm going to do is clean the machine and then oil it. So I am going to tilt the camera down a little bit. So I've already kind of loosened my screws just so I wouldn't have to do that on camera. But I start out by removing my base plate. I loosen all 4 screws, but then I only take out 3 screws. And I'm just going to use my pin container, my magnetic pin container, to put my screws in so that I don't lose them. Okay, and the reason why I don't remove the last one, because I can just take this and just let it slide over, and then I can get to my underneath my machine. So I pull out the bobbin. I'm going to take the thread out of the needle area, and then I'm just going to clean this area out. And sometimes you will have oil residue and things back under that section. So I just take my brush, make sure I get a good cleaning in this area once a month. I get most of it out when I'm cleaning, but sometimes you might miss something. You might start to accumulate lint underneath your screw areas. So I just like to take it all out and give it a good cleaning. That way I know I don't have buildup. And I just use my batting to wipe all the oil onto. And then I just pick this up, go through the holes that are empty. And every time I take this off, I leave a different hole hanging. So that way I know I get all of them eventually. But go underneath. And got everything clean there. Then I'll take my batting and go up in here and clean the area that's hard to clean. And I'm actually going to change the needle too, so I'm not worried about what's on the needle at this point. I'm just trying to clean all that gunky oil residue off. Okay, and so now I will go ahead and put this back onto the machine, and then I will come back. Okay, now I'm back and I have this base plate attached. What I forgot to mention was that I do lock my machine in the horizontal and vertical position. That way my machine is not moving as I'm trying to work on it. That makes a big difference. So now that I have cleaned this bottom section, I'll just go ahead with my microfiber cloth and start just wiping the machine down. So let me zoom out. I'll wipe the actual machine down, and what I can't reach from the front, I'll get from the back. Just don't know where residue is going to be, so I just like to wipe everything, get rid of all lint. It's still threaded, but I'm working around the threading. You could unthread it if you want, but I just prefer to do this, then I can just pull my new thread through when I'm done. So I wipe off the entire machine, and then I also wipe down the tracking. So I will release my horizontal and vertical for this, and then I can roll back and forth on my track so I can get a good cleaning on my track, and I'll do that from front and back. So the front is almost clean. I'm going to change the needle, but I'm not going to do that. Just know that that's part of it. I'm not going to do that in the video though, because I think everybody know you need to change your needles, or hopefully you do. So I'm just locking it back. One more thing I want to clean on the front is the bobbin winder. So I'm trying to show you here. This right here is an onboard bobbin winder, and I find this gets very dirty, so I'm just going to drop the thread, and then I am going to take a piece of batting. So this is my batting, and I'm going to go in this area, and I like to just wipe the spindle area, because if it's oily and dirty, your thread's gonna get oily and dirty, especially if you have a light color thread. So I will just show you the dirt that came off of that spindle. That could make some light color thread turn dark in your quilt. Okay. So while I'm at the front of the machine, I have all of these areas that need oiling now clean. So I go ahead and just oil my machine on the front. Just putting a couple drops of oil in each area. I got one back here. And then I'm going to go ahead and wind this, oil the bobbin area. And rotate that a few times to get it circulated. Okay, so now we're going to go to the back of the machine. So I'm going to release my horizontal and vertical locks again. I'm going to now wipe the back of the machine. Get rid of all dust and debris. So wipe the tracks down, any parts. Now I have a lot of oil here on the track system here. So I like to really get in there and get all of that out. Okay. So now I got a couple of spot places I need to oil. I need to oil in here. Actually 12 drops of oil go in there. And then I need to oil further down inside of this hole. Couple drops in here. And I always wipe it just to make sure nothing's running. So about 12 drops of oil in here. And again, wipe everything down. And now I'm going to just pick up my thread spools, wipe everything around the thread spool area. And I will do that on this other side. Just take my thread spool up. Got a little dust back here behind it. This is the main one that really gets dirty. It's the main thread holder. And so it really gets dirty. Okay. So then that's that. Next thing I like to do is go through and see if I got any oil spots on my table. And if I got any visible wet oil spots, I go ahead and get those up before I start dusting. And then I take my handy duty duster, and I actually start in the corner, but I'll just start here. And I go through the tracks on the entire machine. I wipe this whole machine down to make sure I get all dust, because debris in your tracks can also cause you to have issues when you're quilting. And then I do this all the way down my table. And these are, I'm just picking up all of my tools that I used. And when I go back to the front and change my needle, I will also clean out my bobbin casing as well. So I'm just putting my tools back over on that side so that they're ready for me to pick up when I go back over to my storage area. So basically, that's what I do for the month. If I have a place on my, if I have like spots on my table where I need to do a wet wipe, I'll just dampen a cloth and get up any of that. But for the most part, that is how I do my monthly maintenance on my machine. The only thing that I didn't show you was that I changed my needle and I cleaned my actual bobbin housing out. But I'm going to do that before I start my next quilt. And I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye for now.